the Venture Capital TV from La Token. My name is Sonny Mohanty. I'm the Regional Director of La Token. I'm based here in Singapore. I host PCTV Monday till Friday, 8 p.m. Singapore time. So welcome back all the speakers, welcome back all the audience who are just showering love to us on different channels. By the way, before I start the show, I just would like to announce that we're streaming live on our social media pages on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, besides our website. So there are different channels you can watch us live now as we speak. So today's topic is very interesting as well. And this is the first time, obviously, this topic is very relevant for 2021. We're going to have a recap of 2020, what happened in 2020. So startups, investors, investments, trends, insights. So we have all the experts in the panel today. They're going to talk about their investments. They're going to talk about the trends. And they're going to talk about all the success and not so successful stories as well. So it's going to be a mix of everything. Today I have Vandana, Gary, Fabio, Rishabh, Harsh. Welcome to VCTV, guys, and Happy New Year again for those who were not on my panel yesterday or this week. Perfect. So I would like to start with your introductions for those of you who have joined this year for the first time, like Rishabh and Harsh. We're not there on this year. So this is you're starting with us this year. So I would like to start with Rishabh, who's just joined in 2021 on this panel. Rishabh, quick introduction about you, your company, your portfolios, and which geography, what stage of investments you do. With that introductions, we take introductions for all the other speakers, then we drill down into the questions. Rishabh, over to you, please.
Thank you, Sony. Happy New Year to everyone, to all the speakers today, and all the viewers and listeners who are watching this. VCTV has been doing an amazing job. It has done a great job in 2020, and I'm sure it is going to grow even stronger and even better in 2021. Talking about myself, I work with ONX. I'm a senior investment analyst with ONX. ONX is a family office based out of Dubai. We invest in early to growth stage companies with the token only mandate. We have been investing into blockchain ecosystem from the last 4 years. And then our expertise is into in strategic investments. It's just not the capital, as I always say. It's the blood and sweat and the money. So the money is the last thing. The blood and sweat is the first thing that we do. We work with these ventures, help them in scaling up their operations, help them in getting strategic partnerships live, help them in providing the best of resources. Apart from this, so this is most of our most of our investments goes in the blockchain space goes from ONX. Apart from this, we have two acceleration programs that we are running in partnership. One is ITH Infotech Hub, which is based out of India. It is a sector agnostic acceleration program that is more into technology and investments. So we provide initial funds to these ventures. Clensta International, I'm sure all those people from India must be knowing about this startup. It's one of the we were one of the early stage investor in Clensta. It was recognized by the top three companies by the Prime Minister of India for the COVID fight. Then the other acceleration program is TD5. I will talk about DeFi in the upcoming questions, definitely. So it's an acceleration program for the DeFi and NFT startups, which is helping these ventures to provide the initial funds and then helping them in growing. So we work as an extension of the team and provide the best of mentorship and investments to them. Yeah, so that's a brief description about me.
Yeah, sure, Rishabh. Thank you so much, and thanks for that introduction. As you rightly mentioned, it's not only investments. It's after investments is the actual thing. Mentoring them, training them. Bringing traction to their business. So thank you so much, Rishabh. And we're going to drill down into some of the investments that we did over the year as we go. Next, I have Harsh. Harsh, were you there in 2020 with me, or this is the first episode of VCTV for 2021?
Thank you so much for the sweet gesture. This is, in fact, my third one with you, and I'm more than happy to be a part of this panel. It's always exciting to come up with more discussion about varied topics. To give you a little bit of background of where I come from, I've been from the media and advertising industry. From there, I moved to starting my own startups. I've been a serial entrepreneur. I sold my startups in 2019. Since then, I've been actively working as an independent investment banker, and probably since 2020, I've got associated with AHA Ventures. Currently, I'm the head of investor relations and strategic alliance at AHA Ventures. AHA Ventures is India's largest fundraising platform. We have raised funds for over 60 startups in less than 5 years. We have raised close to 150 for 180 crores of funds for our startups through our 3,200 investors. Uh, our obviously core lies in curation. Out of the all the startups we have helped raise funds, only five have not seen the light of day because of numerous reasons, but rest of them are thriving quite well. Today, it's even more important to talk about how of these startups are performing during COVID and probably post COVID as well. So more than happy to be a part of this group. Thank you so much for having me here.
Oh, great. I mean, good to know that the good stories and not so good stories as well. And let's drill down into that later in the show. Thank
Sure.
you, Harsh, and welcome back in 2021 BCTV episode.
Thank you.
Next, I have Vandana. Vandana, hi. Happy New Year and welcome back to VCTV. How are you,
Yeah.
Vandana?
Hi. Happy New Year to all of you. And thank you for getting me back on VCTV today. So, a brief background about myself. I have worked in Singapore and Jakarta for 15 years in investment banking. I had my own family office fund there. This is my sixth year back in India. I run my own firm out of Gurgaon in India. We have done some investments, but I went back to advisory. I'm connected with 200 investors globally. We are a sector agnostic company, but we prefer tech deals, anything related to fintech, agri-tech, deep tech, edu-tech, we entertain a lot. And ticket sizes vary from 1 million to 25 million. So in terms of geography, we are all over the world. So please reach out to us from all over the world.
Ah, that's good to know, Vandana.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you so much for the introduction and welcome back on VCTV again.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Next, I have Fabio. Hi, Fabio. Welcome back. How are you? What time is it for you there in Italy?
Well, here in Italy, it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm glad to be back here on VCTV. 2020 has been a good year for the tech sector, as everybody knows. So it has essentially caused an acceleration of the shift from traditional sectors to IT heavy to tech heavy sectors. And the fact that the FANG and let's say the major US companies listed on the stock exchange now are a huge part of the S&P 500 is a proof of this tectonic shift towards the tech-heavy sectors. Now, this has trickled down not only to established companies, but has also fueled an interest in new ventures, an interest in the whole ecosystem of startups, from incubators, accelerators, angels, and so on and so forth. We'll probably remember 2020 and the pandemics that marred us as a factor, a defining factor, a fundamental factor, which has changed the economy, at least in the major developed economies and in the major emerging economies.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Fabio. I think, yes, I remember 2020 as a year where things actually happened, like digital transformation. We've seen people talk about digital transformation. Who would have used Zoom? Like I would point out, like who would have used Zoom before 2020 to do all these kind of meetings and close deals on Zoom? So yeah, I think for me, 2020 has been a massive year in that sense. Thank you, Fabian. Welcome back on VCTV. We're going to hear more from you later. Last but not least, Gary. Hi, Gary, and welcome back on VCTV. How are you today?
Oh, I'm great. I'm fantastic. So it's great to be here. Anyhow, my name's Gary Fowler, and I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've been doing startups for over 30 years, 17 companies, uh, 2 unicorns. I was on the original management team of Click Software, which I helped with the NASDAQ IPO. And also the company was sold 19 months ago, I guess, for 1.35 billion. So I was on the original team. Also a co-founder of and founder of Eva.ai, an incredible AI HR tech company. Lived in Russia 14 years, started the first accelerator in Russia, Scope of a Startup Academy. I was involved as a co-founder of that, and also GBA Launch Guru. So love technology, love AI. We're based in Silicon Valley. I started GSD, Get You Done Venture Studios. We are an AI venture studios located in Silicon Valley, and we help companies from around the world to go global, and bringing some of the best resources from around the world, mentors, capital, etc. So I'm an investor, I'm an entrepreneur, and the whole idea is to get them out as fast as they can, help them pivot when they need to pivot. So we're dealing primarily with growth stage companies from everywhere. We've got companies from Germany, companies from Africa, Australia, US, I mean, you name it, Indian companies. So we're curating them from everywhere.
Fantastic. Growth stage companies from everywhere in the world. Thank you so much, Gary, and welcome back on VCTV. I know you do like, how many shows in a day? I'm trying to remember. What's the number now?
Well, today I think I do 9 shows. I do 4 VCTV, plus I have my own show that's really taken off. GSD Presents out of the Valley, and today is Gary's Picks. I highlight the top startup in the world. I'm sponsored by top VCs in Silicon Valley, and I put them on the show to get them international attention. So that's happening today, actually.
Right, fantastic. Thank you, Gary. And yes.
But I do 4 VCTVs on average every day now.
Oh, wow. Isn't that incredible? Thank you, Gary, for that.
I love VCTV. This is like, I mean, think about it. A year ago, people were really concerned about, how do I communicate with investors? How do I get the message out there? This has been an incredible platform. I remember when it was started. I started off with Kyle many, it seems like years ago now, but look at it. And Sonny, when I was one of the first users of Zoom, right? This is right in the beginning. It came out, my friend said, oh, why in the world do I want to use Zoom? I got Skype. I said, but this is really cool stuff. And I would send them a link, and, I don't know if I want another one. Now, I mean, think about it. There's 400 million active users of Zoom and growing every day. It's incredible. Our lives have changed. It's amazing time.
Totally amazing times. Thank you, Gary, for that. Okay, I would like to start the questions now that you've got all the introductions done. We are warmed up for the show. I'd like to start with Hush, because in 2020, as Gary said, we've been on Zoom most of the time. We've been Zooming, we've been talking, we've been sharing insights, we've been closing deals and whatnot. So one of the top quotes were made by investors in 2020 and founders as well. You can choose one or many. Let's start with that and then go into the trends in terms of investments in 2020. Harsh, over to you, please.
Well, 2020 has been challenging, I think, for most of us. Maybe you're an entrepreneur or investment banker. It's just been very challenging. Even for investors, for that matter, choosing the right portfolio has been very challenging. We as a team had a very good understanding and perspective as to what industries are going to be very looked at much seriously. So we obviously were bullish on edtech, health tech, pharmaceutical. We also looked at delivery-based model startups would probably do really, really well. But for some reason, other than that, there were quite good surprises. I would say positive surprises, where a lot of angel investors, took up personal hygiene, varied packed food, which was health conscious food, appetite, snacking options. Those are the ones really picked up well, which was a surprise for us. But nonetheless, it was a good insight. So we did get a chance to talk to those investors as to what was your thesis when you picked up mandates from healthy snacking options. So they said, now that everyone's sitting at home, people have figured it out that now that I'm going to sit at home, I'm going to snack more. So let me just snack something healthy. So that perspective was actually looked at quite seriously. We thought it was very casual, but that's the reason we had three big angel networks coming and closing the round for a very big startup for us. I mean, that was a big surprise. Second thing which we kind of underestimated was the content industry. So OTT platforms obviously went off the roof, but we still have had a good eye on content companies, whichever startups were generating content on their own, suddenly had a lot of good value in terms of what kind of valuation they're looking at. The best quote, if you ask me, Sonny, be very
Yes.
specific, is uh, one of the investors we were talking to in the month of October. So he said it's really it's not going to make a difference of how big the product they have, but how well the startup has pivoted is going to make a difference for us when we choose a portfolio. So the potential to pivot is, I think, what they were focusing on, and that was my crux for 2020 because it was such a thriving year for all of us. So that was
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very rightly said. Pivoting to survive and thrive.
that's
Thank you
right.
so much, Harsh, for that opening remarks. Let's go to Rishabh. Rishabh, opening remarks with your just sharing some trends in terms of investments and also the investor quotations of the year 2020.
Sure. So, I mean, Hirsch very rightly pointed out about the change, the importance of, having that strength to change and pivot when it is required. And to start with the code first, I mean, recently we were just talking about our whole crypto 20, like 2020 recap about our firm and about the sister firms and about the acceleration programs. And there's one common thing that we realized, and that formed the baseline of differentiate, creating a line between success and failures. Was that whenever we invested in the person, we were successful, but whenever we invested in the deck, we failed, right? And that's where we said, okay, I mean, that's from the baseline. So now we have a rule in our company that we don't even look at the deck for the first three conversations. That's just a secondary thing. What we look at is the person and the team. So we keep, we engage with them, we work with them, we start having conversations with the founders and the team to understand where they're coming from, what is their thought process, where do they align themselves, and where, what are the potential areas of differences that can come up later, and whether, the most important point, whether they have the mettle to pivot when it is required. So even if you look at 2020, it all started with all that, something that was coming about COVID in some part of the world, and uh, we were not that much cautious about it. But then suddenly everything happened, and so many startups that were operating in the space of be prop tech or be the hospitality. I'll just take an example of I think Fab Hotels, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was very surprised, and I was quite impressed with how they pivoted from this whole and take advantage of this whole COVID situation. So when startups, and I in any way I do not mean to demean or say anything low about any startup. It's just I'm talking about the scenario. So please not take it in any other way. It's just about an investor speaking, right? So
Yeah, sure.
in the times when companies like Oyo or any other hospitality company was struggling
Yeah.
really bad, firing here and there, firing
Yeah.
now and then I was just reading an article on Forbes about Fab Hotels, which grew their revenue twofolds and increased their take rate to almost like three times what they were taking before the COVID. So I was surprised what they did. Like what was the action that they took? That that even in this COVID times when there is no tourism, they were able
Yeah.
to make these profits.
Hmm.
And what the founder, what he did was he started talking to companies who were working from, who started this work from home culture. And he said, okay, because you're not able to create a good environment at home because everyone does not have the best of internet, best of situations to work from home. So he said, okay, you can all ask all of them to stay at our hotels, our tie-up properties. We'll make proper arrangements where they can have social distancing, where they can have video conferencing, where they can work together even while maintaining social distancing. And they tied up and they collaborated with great best of the companies in in the industry, and they were able to make profits.
Wow.
That's what you call as pivoting when it is required. And that's what a
Fantastic.
fund, that's where what a founder is required to do when these times come up. So now
Fantastic.
talking about
Yeah.
ourselves, we were mostly, I mean, we are mostly into a blockchain ecosystem,
Yeah.
and Bitcoin crossing $35,000.
Yay.
I mean, I'm sure like everyone, even the people who were not, who were saying that what is Bitcoin? It's all a scam. Now they are just thinking, even if it was a scam, we should have bought it, right? Yeah. So
Exactly.
Bitcoin crossing $35,000. Then talking about all the crypto assets, and I'm not even talking about these secondary markets. Let's talk about what we do. We are VC investors. So what we do is we started incubating DeFi ventures. We started investing in DeFi ventures. DeFi was the innovation of 2020. That's what I believe. When we realized that banking services is not possible during the lockdown situations, not everyone can afford to go and stand in those lines and then even maintain social distancing. I mean, I don't know about other countries, but when you go to a bank in India, you have to stand in a long queue. And I think Hirsch would agree with that, and Vanna would agree with that. They would have been to banks. So that's where this DeFi space came up, providing decentralized financial services, decentralized banking services to the people. Just by a click, you can now use your crypto assets, you without any authority. A transparent system was built to provide you money for your services, for your needs. And
Yeah.
DeFi was the talk of the town in the crypto industry for 2020. Yeah, so
Absolutely. Definitely.
we were mostly revolving around that. We were talking about that. We were incubating, working around that, and we made almost 10 investments in 2020, which were into DeFi, and Kasha being the top of them, providing neo banking. And just to announce here, just to share, not announce, just to share a big news from India here. Kasha has partnered with United Cooperative Society, that is a credit society in India, to provide physical branching, physical banking services for crypto. So now in Jaipur, it's the first branch, and there'll be 15 more branches opened in the month of January. And by 2022, we will have 100 branches. People can go and use their fiat money to buy crypto, to buy Bitcoin in a physical branch.
Right.
And that is only accessible in India. Nowhere else in the world has this been possible. All the ATMs have been shut down, but here in India we have done that. Now you can go and buy Bitcoin in a physical branch, so you don't require that mobile phone anymore. You
Right.
can
Is it
hold
only
the
in
Bitcoin.
Jaipur? Is it only in
Yeah,
Jaipur?
as of now it's in Jaipur, but
Yeah.
they like 14 more branches are coming up.
Because one of my friends was asking me where he can buy Bitcoin in India. I just kept quiet because I was not sure. Thank you,
Yeah.
Risha, for those. Let's go to Vandana now. Thank you. Great insights, and DeFi, Bitcoin Q4 2020 were the buzzwords of 2020. Vandana, over to you. So what's the investor quotes that stood out in year 2020, and some trends from you, please?
Yeah, sure. So there is no better way to describe 2020 than Bill Gates. His famous quote is, "The internet is becoming the town square for the global village of tomorrow." And in 2020, we completely had a shift to virtual ways of living that brought a lot of changes in financial ecosystem. Thanks to 2020, new challenges and opportunities are equally reshaping the financial services, from AI to fintech, to open platforms and data analytics to greater customer centricity and workforce shaping, all of which financial institutions need to address while navigating and evolving the risk and regulatory landscapes. So 2020 has made digital transformation a reality, and a lot of businesses need to consider it if they want to stay afloat. I mean, let alone gain a competitive advantage. So, the COVID-19 global pandemic has created a shift in how we work while also giving a rise to new opportunities for existing brands and new startups. 72% of the world's startups saw their fall since the beginning of the crisis, averaging a decline of 32%. One of the trends that has suffered the most through the crisis has been the sharing economy, previously fueled by companies like Uber and WeWork. The travel and tourism sector and fashion sector, too, amongst others, were deeply affected. And however, this hasn't been the case for all startups. About 12% of them recorded a significant growth. This includes the likes of Zoom, AirMeet, and other remote conferencing platforms, which have experienced a boom during the COVID-19 crisis that is expected to continue long afterwards. Indian startups raised a total disclosed funding of 8.4 billion between January 2020 and mid-November 2020. And this was 30% decline compared to the funding in 2019. But the overall investor sentiments remain positive. There was accelerated growth in sectors like health tech, ed tech, fintech, online gaming, OTT, among others. And the Indian startup ecosystem saw 9 new entries to the Unicorn Club. So this is my take here.
Absolutely. Great. Very nicely explained, Vandana, over there with opening remarks. And thank you so much for that. So digital transformation became a reality. Thank you so much. Fabio, over to you, please. So what's the trends in 2020 that you can share with the audience today? And what's the investor quote that you can share with your audience today as well for 2020?
Yes, let me put it this way. Internet, at the very beginning, has been all about sharing of information. With Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, fintech, now DeFi, is moving towards sharing and sending of value. Okay, you can move capital across the internet. The next phase will be an integration of these two components and the addition of the third one, which is manufacturing. Okay, manufacturing and more generally Internet of Things. So, for example, when you have a conversation like we're doing now, we're sharing information, okay, and we are also sharing, potentially, we can share value because we are become aware of each other investments and financial interests. So, paving the road for moving value, moving capital across borders, across the internet. The next, probably the most important evolution will be in robotics and 3D printing. The pandemic has highlighted the fragility of value chains across the manufacturing industry. So there will be a drive to reshore some of the some pieces of these global value chains. But since in developed countries workers are too expensive for the products to be competitive, they will be substituted by robots. Now, what does that mean? that means, that implies that you can build global value chains that are completely integrated, using robots or 3D printings, for example, in a sort of decentralized manufacturing plant, so that you can manage the capacity as you see fit, depending on how much of that capacity is used everywhere in the world. So you'll see, let's say, integrated distributed factories,
Right.
which will take the place of what we call today global value chains.
Right. Sure. 3D printing and robots replacing human beings in math. Yeah, that's not, I mean, far from reality, I guess, for sure. Thank you, Fabio, for those opening remarks. Any quotations, investor quotations or startup founder quotations of year 2020 you would like to share?
Yes, we have invested in mostly in medcare, biotech. For example, we have invested in a company that is dealing with the disinfection of goods and vegetables which are frozen with nitrogen. Okay, the nitrogen freezing is not does not disinfect, but it's a technology that is used to move goods across the countries, across various locations. Once you, but especially now in times of pandemic, you need to make sure that they don't carry diseases. Other things are an implant for women, which for gynecological treatment that avoid the need for surgical operations, and just with a simple implant. And they, outpatient clinic can solve one of the major problems for aging women.
Sure. All right.
Those
Great.
are the
So it's So 3D printing, robotics, and health tech. Thank you, Fabio. Gary, over to you, please. Let's start with some quotations, some investor quotes for year 2020 and the trends, the year that has gone by, and from an investor perspective and also entrepreneur perspective. Gary, over to you.
Yeah, I mean, so we used to say hindsight is 2020. I'm not sure that's the case anymore.
No.
So,
Correct.
yeah, I mean, we look at where we are today. We're inundated with data. Each one of the panelists today has about 300,000 items in their own personal cloud: emails, files, folders, WhatsApp, Telegram, Google Drive, Slack. You can have up to 25 data sources. You say, no. You can have, 7 email addresses, Yahoo, Hotmail, AOL, Gmail, corporate mail, etc. So we are inundated with information. We are in a state of infobesity, each one of us here. In fact, each one of us here has more information than the entire World Wide Web contained in 1996. There were 257,000 websites. The challenge is the amount of information that we have coming at us doubles every year. So today we have 300,000. In 5 years with the Internet of Things, it'll be 10 million. So how many times every week do you say, I know that file exists, but I can't find it? I've either forgotten the key location or the keywords, right? And it's each year it's doubling. The amount of data on the planet is grown at 62% per year. And as I said a few times, there are about 40 zettabytes of data on the planet. If you took DVDs and stacked them one on top of another, that would go back and forth to the moon 29 times.
Sure.
So The key is artificial intelligence in deep learning, machine learning, unsupervised AI, semi-supervised, and that's really what I focused on. My last company, Eva.ai, that I co-founded, or one of my last companies that I co-founded, I have a few, but Eva.ai focuses exactly on issues with HR tech, although I originally did it as a Google-like search. So we have a challenge. I mean, we need to have intelligent, not smart, intelligent assistants to be able to help us manage our own universe. Let's start where we are. I don't care if you're a PhD from MIT or IIT, it doesn't matter. You still have a problem. If I say, I sent you a PowerPoint presentation, I'm not sure if I sent it on Messenger or Telegram or email, can you find it? It's impossible. We'll send it again. How many times do you say that every week, right? And it's increasing and we don't even know it. It's crazy. So we've got to go down through and manage our information more wisely, because there's going to be really two levels in society: the people that know and understand how to manage that data because they have intelligent assistants, and the people that don't know. And it's happening very, very quickly. The beauty of the digital transformation are, as I said, I was one of the early users of Zoom out of Menlo Park, California. So when one of the VCs, Emergence, said that they have this really cool stuff, they invested in Zoom. I said, let me try it. Well, here we are, right? We now have an opportunity to really change the face of the planet Earth. I've written an article recently in Forbes magazine called The Democratization of Opportunities, Nikola Tesla's Dream Comes True. Now, here we are today on VCTV, which is, it's a beautiful, and, you know, tooting your horn, Sonny. I mean, this is a beautiful world, because now it doesn't matter where you are, you're giving people access to be able to access to investors, to startups, et cetera. And that's the way it should be. So I know myself in the last year, you know, I work with Africa, I work with Australia, I work with, I have companies in the Americas, Latin America, in Germany, in Russia, et cetera. But it's really given us all level playing field. And that's the real beauty of it. So the lessons for 2020 is we now have an opportunity to move forward. The startups that are really smart will take advantage of the opportunity and learn how to use it wisely. The investors, I remember meeting with, I guess I shouldn't say, but one of the top 5 investors on the planet Earth. And I had a conversation with one of the principals that said, we're not going to do any investing. We have to meet with the person face to face. Hello, that's not going to happen right now. You know what I mean? This is face to face. So we need to think differently, as Steve Jobs said. So that's the lessons learned. The other thing is humanity. We've had to stay home. We've gotten, you know, bicycle sales are up around the world. Just in the US are up 67%. 67%. You can't get enough bike parts. I recently bought another one of my 14 bikes, electric bikes. That bike sold out in 1 week for the entire 2021 allotment. A week. It's crazy.
Crazy. I know.
Board games. We're now becoming, you know, we got so entangled in technology that we forgot about our families and our homes and what life is really about, and happiness, right? So now we've got a chance to nurture that. So what's going to happen going forward? Immersive technologies, AR and VR, so we can communicate better. It's great to hear we're on, you know, and I wrote Eric a few weeks ago, by the way, from Zoom, and was telling him about some of the things that we're doing, but on VCTV. But think about it. Now we got that opportunity. Let's make that a richer experience. Let's deepen that experience. Let's use it so that we become closer to one another. You know, those connections. There was a book by Viktor Frankl called Man's Search for Meaning. Should be Humanity's Search for Meaning, but it's about connecting the dots. How do we nurture each other and do the kind of things that we did in our offices remotely? And now, I don't know about you, but my commute in Silicon Valley sometimes is 2 hours each way to my office, and it's only 20 miles. 2 hours, 4 hours per day.
I think the guys from India, Harsh and Rishabh, would, I think they will relate to you, your pain, I think. It's the same.
And now we have a chance to be much more efficient. All of us, right? You get on, people say, oh, well, you're up at 5:30 in the morning on VCTV. I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning going in California. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
not home till 10, 11 o'clock at night. I'm not as
Yeah.
tired as I was. And by the way, I get to ride my bike for an hour. I allocate an hour during the daytime to ride my bike. I
Yeah.
couldn't do it before.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
it's changed us. It's fundamentally changed the way we look at humanity. It's fundamentally changed the way we communicate with one another. And the companies and the investors and the startups that take advantage of it are going to win.
Absolutely. Very, very rightly said, Gary. Very good points and insights coming from you as usual. I would like to go next with Harsh. Harsh, so let's talk about a portfolio of yours in terms of investments that was made in 2020. Uh, Maybe, obviously, could be a successful story, could be a, not a successful story. We just have a few more minutes, not few, like we have 20 minutes. So I'll just make it a quick summary of the investments that you had done.
Yeah, so like I said, start of 2020, we were very clear as to what sectors we want to focus on. Obviously, COVID, things really changed up for us. But somehow our perception worked out very well. So we as a platform will never focus on one sector specifically. We're always agnostic, because if you look at the investor set we have, they're also agnostic. We rarely have coming from a specific IT, AI, or probably a tech space, but we want to have very, very clear. So as the situation started getting much more serious in India in terms of raising funds, we started focusing on entrepreneurs more than the startups, right? So we looked at what entrepreneurs have gone and changed their business model quickly and started making revenues out of it. So that was something really made a lot of difference to us. So that has worked out well for us. So our key, if you ask, which really changed our perspective of selecting startup, one was something called a Smart Institute. So Smart Institute was developing the skill set, sitting at home. This was specifically towards getting a better job. So that was a very good thing we banked on. Second was Loan Adda. Loan Adda was taking loans for a smaller amounts. Even this was a very good success story for us, because we really believed that people are not going to have too much of revenues coming in or salaries coming in, because there were a lot of salary cuts across India.
Yeah.
So that's why they couldn't pay back their EMI. So, but Loan Adda worked well. Very good pick up smaller amounts of loan on a monthly or a weekly basis. So that really worked out well for us. Then we had something called as Gyuta. Gyuta is an online music learning website which trained as well as tracked how well you're doing. Again, people with a lot of spare time, but even Gary mentioned,
Yeah.
riding a cycle or learning how to play a guitar. It really worked well. These things we really banked on. We knew for a fact they are going to do well, and the founders were so open to changing their ways of doing business, and that has worked well for them. There has been some disappointments which we thought health tech we had 3 health tech startups which we really thought will pick up, and probably in a month's time we'll have the good exit through that, but that did not happen. The only reason why it did not happen, because suddenly the benchmark went really high. So a traction of, let's say, a 500,000 so was supposed to be very good pre-COVID, but post-COVID, even 1 million users seems like an average thing for a net tech or a health tech kind of a startup. So the benchmark suddenly changed. Hence, I think probably those didn't really pick up well. But yeah, those were the only disappointments I had. But I would say they will survive because they are still pivoting. Like I said, anyone who's managed to crack and get revenues in this situation has really had a long way to go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you, Harsh, for that. Really, it's about the people. Quickly, Amit is my colleague who is going to be moderating soon in my panel. He has a question. Amit, can you just quickly say hi, and then I take a question, just conscious of the time. Amit Das, yes, hi. So he's going to be co-moderating with me on upcoming on sessions, episodes of VCTV. He has a question. Do VCs invest on idea or the team, which is more important? I would like to ask Harsh and then reach out with the same question.
Well, I think probably 3 years or 4 years back, all the panel who's from India would agree that all the founders who had a pedigree background, I would say some from IIT, IIMs, even ideas were getting funded probably 3 years back. But if you see the scenario today, people will making revenues not necessarily get funded. It's not to do with ideas, but how much have you changed your ideas to make sure that you're getting revenues. So especially angels, they are holding the cash to the chest, saying that we are not going to invest for the next 6 months at least. But if you ask for VCs, the evaluation parameters have completely changed. The matrices of evaluating has changed. Obviously, if you ask me very frankly, ideas will never get funded in this market unless you are someone like Kunal Shah. I think that's a different story. But
Very good.
it's very difficult. It's very, very difficult.
Thank you, Harsh, for that.
Yeah.
Rishabh, again,
I
let's
have
talk about.
nothing. Yeah, I have
Yes.
nothing to add. Hirsch has already contemplated all these, all everything. So ideas are not going to get funded in this market. It's the team and and the metal again to pivot and get revenue in these times. That's the kind of team and that's the kind of team that investors are looking for, not the ideas are just lying on the deck, and every investor has almost thousands of deck every week on their emails. They don't even look at it. It's the team that has the mettle and persistence to get that investor on board and grow. That is the team that is going to get funded.
Perfect. Thank you for answering, and hope Amit has got his questions answered. Talking about your portfolio investments in 2020, give me some success stories and some disappointments, if any.
Yeah, so to be very honest, I mean, we are an early stage investor mostly. So, it will be very early for me to say if there is any disappointment. There are definitely success, but, as far as disappointments are concerned, it's very early to say for me. Probably in another 6 months to 2 quarters to 3 quarters, we'll know more about how they're performing. But talking about success, so DeFi was one of those sectors which outperformed all the other investments. When I talk about the crypto ecosystem or the blockchain ecosystem, even in DeFi, another interesting idea was rebasing. I mean, I'm not sure how many of the panelists are well aware of this whole crypto ecosystem, but rebasing mechanism is a technology where you peg your value of your share or token to a particular value. It can be a stable value or it can be a moving value, but it is pegged to that value. So rebasing tokens rebasing protocols took a leap. Then asset tokenization. So I was talking. I mean, Sony, you very well know about Oro Pocket, right? So
Yeah,
one
yeah.
of those ventures that that are tokenizing assets. Although all those assets that are lying there that are not able to earn value on them, that's where Oro Pocket comes in, tokenizes all of them, brings in value to those lying assets, which are not earning per se without these tokenization. Then talking about the most important factor that we looked at and we are now looking for 2021 is a retail adoption. I mean, all these giant institutional investors, they have come in. MicroStrategy, Grayscale Investments, they all have come in. Fidelity, they have bought billion and billion dollars of bitcoins and crypto assets. But retail adoption is on a surge. If you look at even in India, the volume and the number of users on exchanges have grown tremendously, right? And India is a country which has just 1.7 million users as of now in crypto, which is less than 1% of, in out of like a 1.4 billion population, we just have 1.7. So there's a huge growth prospects. Then, so retail adoption is something that we are looking at, and that we were looked at in 2020. Mass adoption of and products that were able to garner that retail attention, right? They were products that were some of the products like uh, Pop Network. It's a decentralized YouTube streaming platform. It is providing a platform to the YouTube content creators to not pay their hard-earned money to just a platform. It's a authority-less platform built on blockchain. It's still, it hasn't outperformed as of now, but I'm sure it's an early stage venture. It's going on. Talking about the Indian ecosystem, talking about the non-blockchain startups. I mean, we have an in-house startup called Brain Alive. as you know, edtech, we all know how edtech
Yeah.
was the talk of the town in the year 2020. It was to the moon. If we talk
Yeah.
in terms of crypto, it was to the moon, right? So brain computer interface, it's Brain Alive is a brain computer interface company that has built a platform and an algorithm which captures the attention from the users, the people who are taking online classes, and they are able to gather, gauge the productivity of that particular user, and then help the student to understand which areas or what are the areas that they need to work on, which are the subjects that they are mostly productive on. So that way, not anymore. I mean, their whole vision is to not accept a fish and not judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, right? That's their vision. So yeah, these were some of the good investments and successes of 2020.
Very good. And Amit is the India country manager for La Token, and he's got another question for you. What is your month-end prediction of Bitcoin?
I'm really sorry, Amit. I would not rather answer that. Let the markets go. But to just give you a number, I think month end, the way it looks like, and the institutional investors are coming in, 40,000 is not far. Yeah, so that's what I would say. But it's not a financial advice. I'll again put, it's not a
Exactly.
financial advice. It's just my opinion, right?
Yes, yes,
People
absolutely.
are
Understand.
people, and I would rather prefer people to do the due diligence before making any investments.
Absolutely. Absolutely understand that, Rishabh. Thank you so much. Vandana,
Thank you.
success story, please, coming from you.
Yeah, I have closed an agri-tech deal of $3 million. I have closed a fintech deal of 600K USD. I have closed a deep tech deal of $2 million with a UK based fund. I have closed a food tech deal from Singapore, which is $2 million. I have closed a health tech deal from Dubai, which is $5 million. But two of my deals that got badly stuck due to COVID. One was the fintech deal that is from India that aggregates various financial services and provides them to 500 million people at the bottom of half of the pyramid through a network of retailers acquired in bulk via corporate tie-ups. Their marketplace caters to services like cash deposit, cash withdrawal, recharge, bill pays, insurances, loans, and they are in B2B and B2C space covering retail networks, mobile-based organizations, etc. So this deal has got stuck because the time period for the funds to hit the account is taking long due to the the regulatory laws, or I would say the anti-money laundering laws. Similarly, the deep tech deal from UK, where they are building a FPGA based artificially evolving, contextually aware edge platform designed to accelerate deep learning 3D sensing data. And it is a perception software and smart edge device which helps machines to learn and perceive faster. These two deals got stuck. So we are just waiting for the funds to hit the account. So these were some of my success and failure stories.
Thank you so much, Vandana. It's very important to share both success and failure stories for the entrepreneurs who are watching us today, to get that motivation as well, because not every startup is successful, as we know. Thank you so much, Vandana. We can't conscious of the time, and Gary has to leave. Gary, how would you summarize year 2020 in terms of investments very quickly? Closing remarks before you go.
Well, I mean, it was a transitional, transformative year. And in terms of our investments, I mean, nothing's changed in terms of where my own personal feelings towards the investments. We invest in artificial intelligence, and that's it. And now quantum computing. So I love quantum computing too. And but this is really it. We're getting, as I said, we're inundated with data, and it's really across all vertical markets. It doesn't matter if you're in med tech. I just was on a panel for the top pharmaceutical companies for AI in Europe, and the whole idea is, to do what we've done with COVID in terms of a vaccine so quickly is because we didn't use the bench time. We actually use modeling with artificial intelligence. So supply chain, right? We laugh about it, but let me tell you, in San Francisco today, they don't have toilet paper again. I mean, it's crazy, right? We're dealing with quantum computers and we can't get a roll of toilet paper. There's something wrong with the picture here. So, I mean, we need to get the fundamentals right. So, in terms of where we are, artificial intelligence is the new electricity. Each and every one of us on the panel need to be able to have intelligent assistants to help us live our lives better, to help us be more efficient and really optimize the opportunities. So that's where we are. I don't care what vertical market it's in. You know, or as Bob was talking about the team, teams are critically important because if you don't have a good team, you can't execute. So ideas are a dime a dozen, but execution is key. So the team is important. And we're looking forward to 2021. 2020 was great for us. We had a phenomenal year, but 2021 is going to be incredible. So it's great to be here.
Absolutely.
I got to jump off. I have a call with Microsoft executives, and I just got to jump off here in 1 minute. But I really appreciate each and every one of you today. It's been a great, great conversation, and look forward to continuing conversations with you.
Look forward to having you on another session, Gary, and see you soon. Thank you.
Bye, Gary.
Moving
It was a
on.
pleasure
Bye.
having you.
Bye. Take care.
Bye, Gary.
Fabio, how do you summarize 2020 in terms of investments?
But in terms of investments, from my perspective, 2020 has not been a banner year because most companies, we deal with companies that are raising funds mostly on the OTC market in New York, or otherwise trying to connect with VC funds, angels, and other investors. And since there was a huge uncertainty over the near future, most companies decided to put on hold their plans and concentrated on surviving the worst part of the year. Also, they were somehow concerned that the bad results of 2020 could negatively affect the valuation of their companies. So it has been a period of intense activity to prepare for the rebound of the economy. But in terms of actual investment and new initiative, the picture is mixed at best, but tendentially negative. But as Gary said, 2021 will see a consistent and probably spectacular recovery, and at that point all the work done in 2020 in preparation for this rebound will be like a compressed spring, ready to push on. And that's what we expect. We already been seeing this in the last months since the vaccine has been delivered to authorities, governments around the world. We've seen this new energy pervading the entire startup or innovative companies space.
Thank you. Thank you, Fabio. Nicely summarized. We are very hopeful about 2021. Thank you so much. Harsh, how would you summarize 2020 in terms of investments as a closing remark?
I think it's 2020 has been very surprising, I think, in terms of which ventures which we usually would have thought would have turned into unicorns ended up getting shut. But if you ask me what my take of 2021 is, it was survival of the fittest. anyone who could survive this year in terms of handling and holding on to their clients. I think Rishabh mentioned a fantastic story of Fab Hotels. It's on those lines. If you look around, any startups which could manage that, they have done exceptionally well. And that entrepreneurial DNA is going to take them a lot of long distance, because that's what has really made a difference. 2020 probably will never see again. Let's hope so. But
Hope so.
whoever has seen and survived, trust me, have a fantastic future ahead.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Harsh. Rishabh, same question, please. Closing remarks and summary of 2020.
Yeah, so I'll start this my closing remark with what Hirsch mentioned at the last, that those who were able to survive during these times will have a fantastic future lying ahead. I mean, now it was a time for the survival. Now it's a time for the growth, and there the growth will be 4 times what they would have, back in 2019, because they survived the toughest year of, I don't know, the decade or century, whatever. I mean, it was, and one important thing that it's the year was, although bad, and or so many things happened around the world, but now we know that our economies around the world are robust. They have seen the worst. Now we know that whatever comes up next, I'm just touch wood, nothing comes up, but whatever comes
That's
up
true.
next would not be able to break the economy, because this was the worst, I think, right? With nothing happening, no trade happening, no business happening. And summarizing about, like talking about 2020 investments, for me and for us, it was mostly into the innovations in the crypto space, retail adoption, and then also edtech. I mean, we were mostly looking into early stage deals. We focused on diversifying our portfolio for having better results, because early stage deals, then considering the COVID time, so we were looking into that. It was mostly focused on edtech and health tech and crypto. Yeah. So
Great.
and fintech being a part of crypto, so not to forget that, but yes, mostly focus on that, around that.
I'm sure crypto is obviously second runner-up after fintech. Thank you so much in year 2020. Thank you so much, Rishabh. Vandana, closing remarks and summarizing 2020 in terms of investments.
Yeah, so at the end of 2019, no one would have predicted what an unpredictable and difficult year it has been for both startups and VCs in the fundraising world. And now we are starting down the end of 2020, and we have almost, in the beginning of 2021. We are looking forward to, a safer 2021. With an end of the year sprint to close deals and the hope of COVID-19, vaccine on the horizon, startups and VCs know that, change is on the horizon, but how much of the change will be positive, we'll have to just leave that as a question mark. And as 2020 proved, no one can say for sure that what 2021 will bring. Seeing that the pandemic has changed the outlook of investors as well as promoters, all we can hope for is that 2021 turns out to be a fruitful and successful year financially. So
we all hope the same. Thank you, Vandana, with the closing remarks. That brings us to the end of the show. Thank you all for your time and for sharing those lovely insights, very informative insights with our audience and with other speakers. Entrepreneurs and startups, you like to pitch your ideas, not your ideas, sorry, your solution, as everybody said, to these investors. Feel free to contact us. We're going to get you connected with these investors. Again, investors and speakers who like to share the same space with these investors, please feel free to reach out to us. We're going to help you connect with them as well. That brings us to the end of the session. Thank you so much again, and I'm going to see you again on another session of VCTV. Till then, stay tuned. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.